Hi, my name is Nosha, some guys know me as Shubham, and this is Spurs Video Podcast, strangely known as YouShubes. I'd like to introduce someone who's been wonderfully, I'm so grateful that he's come on again to YouShubes, my good mate of mine, Dom. Dom, thank you so much for being on the show.
Cheers. As before, it's an absolute pleasure to be off, so, I should be thanking you, I guess.
Thank you. Well, I think we'll do that. We'll do that mutual thank you society a bit later. So, thinking of things that I'm not thankful for. Stoke parking the bus, playing 10 men behind the ball, playing to the rules, playing within the. They really know how to stretch the letter of the law, don't they? The old Stoke, I must admit. But I don't think we deserve to win that. I don't think we did enough though. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, it's. You mentioned about Stoke parking the bus. I think over the years we've got to know what type of team Stoke are. They're not exactly the most cultured Barcelona type team, are they? They're a rough, tough, physical. They're a unit as a team. So we knew what to expect. I guess I was hoping for 3 points, obviously over this festive period, an early Christmas present, but it wasn't to be. But a point is a point, and against Stoke, they're a decent team, and they get results against some of the top sides. So I think it was a fair result in the end.
But I thought Kyle Walker, I thought he got into the Christmas mood early because he almost gifted them, a lovely goal. And I don't know what the hell that pass was to. I don't know what he was thinking, but he almost gifted them a goal. I just think for the Stoke, they had their chances to steal it. I think we had our chance near the end as well, and I just don't know. Obviously the January transfer window, seeing people saying we need a passer because I looked at that team and I thought Dembele was good. I thought Sandro was excellent, at times. But I still think, for all Dembele's ability to run with the ball, we haven't got that. I don't know. We can't. Well, apparently the guys in Spurs Forum hate the term deep line playmaker and quarterback American. So how about safecracker? How does that sound? Or Thomas Crown, so to speak.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think maybe you should put it to a poll on the Spurs Forum whether they prefer safecracker. I would wager they perhaps wouldn't. So deep line playmaker works for me, or safecracker. I know what you're talking about.
And the thing is, it's just, obviously, he's saying, well, we don't need to spend that much money. And do you know what? It's going to be interesting because obviously we're going to go into the Villa game, obviously on Boxing Day. But I thought Sigurdsson played all right. I thought he linked up well, got in some good spots, broke well from midfield. And I really would like, because Villa Spurs, he was criticised for trying to force his 4-3-3 onto the Chelsea players, and he didn't really suit them. But I think we've got the players to make a 4-3-3 work. I actually, as weird as it sounds, I think 4-4-2 is actually not working for us the way we play. I think what's good about 4-3-3 is that it can become 5 in midfield straight away when you don't have the ball, but then you can be 3 or even 4 in attack when you do have the ball. And I think we've got the pacey kind of players. Well, apart from, I guess, Sigurdsson to actually make that work. And again, Sigurdsson, although he's no speed merchant, he's definitely no Huddleston. I think he can get about the pitch, and I think he's got that. I think he can spot a pass or two. I don't know. What do you think? With Dempsey out and Adebayor not firing on all cylinders, what do you think, mate?
I think I was chuckling when you said he's not quite a Huddleston with regards to being pacey. I don't think many players are quite a Huddleston when it comes to his pace.
Anti-pace. Anti-pace.
I think Sigurdsson has actually started to grow into his role a little bit better. I think typically Spurs fans can jump at people's backs very quickly, and everyone expected him to be, this dynamic player that we heard about. And I think it's taken him a little while to settle in, but I agree with you. I think the 4-3-3 can suit our players and seem a lot better for AVB than it did for Chelsea. I agree.
Although Chelsea, though, yesterday, oh my God, 8-0. Bloody hard. That was just obviously I don't know which is more impressive, our 9-1 against Wigan or their 8-0 against Villa. That was just. I honestly I didn't even want to watch Match of the Day 2. I heard it was like 4-0 or 5-0. I thought, I'm not going to watch Match of the Day 2. I just don't want to see it. And
it was one of those ones where I was actually at one of these many Christmas dues that everyone obviously at this time of year. I was out with one of my friends who's a Chelsea fan, and he hadn't had a chance to see the game because obviously we were both out. I checked the results, and I said, do you want to know what it is? And he thought, oh no, it's going to be a disastrous result under Rafa. And I told him 8-0, and obviously the man was delighted. But I still have a little soft spot for that 9-1 against Wigan. As I pointed out to him, yeah, it's still a difference of 8. And yes, we conceded one, but technically, you know, more goals scored, so I'd say ours is better.
And plus, they cheated on their goal anyway. He handed the ball. He did an Henri anyway, so, you know, let's not... Yeah, if we're going to quibble, you know what I mean? I think it's 9-0, really. If we're going technical about it, but still. Not that I'm bitter and I hold on to past glories, you know, like it now, you know. But I just think, you know, I think actually in a weird way, actually, you know, I noticed I say like Villa got a point to prove. I think Villa will actually, they won't part the bus. They'll have to go out health 11. That first 20 minutes, they're going to have to try and really go for us, you know, because obviously their fans travelled all the way down to Chelsea, saw their team get hammered. They have to now prove a point against us. Now, I've no idea how badly they played, but when you lose 8-0, I'm guessing you played pretty poorly. And so they're going to have to go out, be on the offensive, and really, you know, show what they're made of. And I think that actually works for us, because we're actually a very good counter-attacking side. We actually work best when teams actually go for us. What do you think?
I completely agree. The counter-attacking has worked for us. I think our away record this season has been incredibly impressive, and a lot of that has been playing counter-attacking football. I don't know why, it always seems to be Spurs, where you get a team that gets absolutely hammered, and typically we happen to be playing them next, so, you know, they're going to obviously want to get a result after being spanked 8-0, and unfortunately that's against us, so yeah, they very well might try and park the bus, but you never know, they're playing at home, so hopefully they'll go out to try and attack, trying to raise that memory of the 8-0 quickly, and yeah, it'll give us a chance to hopefully hit them on the break.
And then we have Sunderland, who... Did they win? I can't remember what was it. Because obviously we're Sunderland to finish the year on, and I can't remember. Did they win? Or I can't remember did they play on the weekend? I can't remember now.
They beat Sunderland 1-0.
So who beat Sunderland 1-0? Sorry.
Sorry, they beat Southampton 0. They were at Southampton.
Southampton, yeah. So they've got a bit of confidence going about them. You know, they're not. I don't think they'll part of the bus, but they'll. They've just, having just beaten Southampton, they've probably got thinking, well, they'll have a bit more confidence, and hopefully they'll want to try and, because I remember that game, was it last season, and they played terribly. I think we were terrible as well, but my God, they didn't even turn up. I think it was last season at the Stadium of Light, and it was the most boring, dour game I've ever seen. I've never seen a team try as little to get, men beyond the ball. It was just, we're at home against Spurs. Let's pack the defence. I was like, you're at home.
Well, they have a manager as well. Probably will allow that trend to continue, but I don't think a win against Southampton is anything really to get too excited about or indeed worried about. I think Southampton are pretty poor as well. And Sunderland have been not great, and that's putting it kindly, I guess. So I don't think we've got anything to fear against them. I would actually hope for, us to pick up points in all our games over this period.
I would like to agree, but I just think Stephen Fletcher just has this ability to score against us. And he will. I bet you, I know he will score. Even if we win on, and I'm not trying to ignore the Villa game, that's an important game, but even if we win, at say Sunderland, Fletcher will find a way to get on the score sheet. He will. He always scores against us, or he does something, he's involved somehow in us conceding somehow.
Well, as I said, I don't know why. Maybe supporters of other teams probably say similar things, but as a Spurs fan, it always seems to be the way that either we have an ex-player who plays terribly when we sell them, and they happen to have a blinder against us or score, or we have a bogey player who perhaps goes through an average spell and we play them and he breaks the duck against us. It always seems to be the way. So I wouldn't bet against it, but I'd still like to think that we have, I know we don't play the game on paper, but man for man, and looking at where we are so far this season and where Sunderland are, I would hope that we would be able to pick up 3 points.
Definitely. Speaking of magic, I've actually met up with some of the from a different forum, Spurs Odyssey, and actually went out for a curry after the Stoke game. And man, we were actually, honestly, everyone's a bit downhearted, obviously, because you're coming down, you're thinking Stoke, let's get the 3 points, let's get on the roll. It doesn't really quite click. But we went out for a curry after. I managed to give one of my friends the book, the 50 Greatest Matches by Mike Donovan. Buy it, people. And speaking of that book, I actually managed to get a copy of this book for Dom. And I'm hopefully, please, Dom, did you get it? I sent it in the post. Please, Dom, got it.
Just happens. The Christmas has come early this year, and next to me, I do have the aforementioned book, which is incredible. It's signed as well, so Shubes, thank you so much. I actually only picked this up today. So as I say, just give me the nod and, the cash for it should be winging its way over to you. But yeah, very, very kind of you to pick that up for me, so much appreciated.
Speaking of all things we celebrated, a little birdie, who actually, a couple of my friends actually having birthdays tomorrow. One of them I actually call the Countess von Count. She's a Spurs fan, but she's I don't know, an admiration or a passion for Mr. Berbatov. And so I've always, because I call him Count von Count, I decided to call her Countess von Count. So it's her birthday tomorrow, and it's also a very, I think, a wonderful, a real bon vivant, a bon viveur. His birthday tomorrow as well. Would you know who this is? Do you want to clue us in here, Dom? Who's else's birthday is tomorrow?
I have heard it's Annie Lennox's birthday tomorrow. I happen to know a few famous people born on the same day, but if you're going in the direction I'm thinking, it is my birthday tomorrow as well.
And tomorrow, so the good Lord was born tomorrow, as was Dom. I mean, that's just, and my friend Lex. It's just, truly is a blessed day. I don't even need a gift. You know what I mean? I was given those gifts, many years ago when my two mates were born. That's what I got to say. But
I always like to say, I was the best Christmas present that my mum ever had. She's never actually said that. That's more my line. I think her favourite is the bread maker. That I guessed to a few years ago. But it's always quite funny when people find out your birthday's on Christmas Day. You get the usual round of questions. But I get used to it now. It's on the same day every year.
Well, it's a gift. It's a gift. And to hear that joy and that confidence in your voice, I mean, I'm hoping that we can show that confidence against Villa and against Sunderland. And speaking of confidence, we're going to need that against Lyon, the Champions League. I mean, not Champions, Champions. Well, they were in the Champions League, did pretty well. They were actually Group 1 seeds a few years ago. So the mighty have fallen a little bit. Now they're now playing in Europa, as are the winners of that a couple of years ago. Yeah, the old.
Surely not this at this stage. Surely not. Which team was that again?
Well, Inter. I mean, let's face it. I mean, it's incredible. Like 2 years ago, you had Lyon. I think they were in the perennial quarter-finalists, semi-finalists in the Champions League. You had Inter, who won it nearly 2.5 years ago, on top of the world. And then looking at 2.5 years later, and I think it's an interesting thing because a lot of us I believe are overlooking Cluj. I think Cluj can be a threat to Inter. I personally think Inter will get through, but I'm hoping we'll get through against Lyon. But Lyon are a great side. I mean, I think they're level on points or a point behind PSG, who've got billions to spend. I mean, have you heard about this deal they've got going on? Apparently, they get 100.
I know they've got ridiculous amounts of cash reserves. They're like the Man City, Chelsea of France.
Beyond this, what they do is that apparently you may be aware they're owned by a member of the Qatari royal family. Okay, well they've been given a new sponsorship deal where they earn 150 million euros a season, not a year, not over 5 years, whatever, a season, and by the Qatari Tourism Board. Nothing dodgy about that at all, is it?
I don't quite know what to say. It's an interesting one, that's for sure.
Yes, and obviously financial fair play is obviously there. They are totally working within the spirit of financial fair play. You won't come off being happy about it.
It's happening across Europe. It's happening all over the place. I know when Abramovich came and Chelsea came in. I know a load of people who are fans of other teams kind of lost interest in football, and then obviously in more recent times, Man City now as well. And every team can't compete with that kind of money. So there is an argument that it's killing football, and I think it's a pretty strong argument, to be fair.
Well, I think what it is, you want to be able to see a change in the guard. You want to think, do you know what? It's like this. I think what people are drawn to, like the magic of the FA Cup, which is going to be in, I think, is it 9th of January. And obviously, we're playing at home, we're playing Coventry, and obviously a rematch of the '87 final. But but if you think about it, that was a game that we were clear favourites. We were third in the league, semi-finalists of the League Cup at the time, and we're thinking, well, we should be able to win this. We got Glenn Hoddle, Chrissy Waddle, an amazing team, and unfortunately, as Gary Abbott found out, it isn't a good idea to score goals in both for either team, and they ended up winning that day. Kudos to them, and I think you like to see the upset. I think one of the reasons I don't watch the Spanish league is I honestly have stopped watching Spanish league, and I might start watching it now because Atletico are doing pretty well. But you just think it's going to be Real or Barca. Come the end of the season, it'll be Real or Barca that's going to be really walking away from it, you know. And you just think, well, I don't want to see any other teams. I think at least with Malaga, you thought, well, they've got money coming in, and they'll challenge, but they've been banned from Europe because they can't pay their tax. So I think Malaga should speak to Harry Redknapp about that kind of stuff.
I think he's a man with a lot of experience in that area. His advice could come in helpful.
And may I say that was Dominic who said that, not me. Any lawyers that listen to this. But no, definitely. I just think because it's interesting because obviously, I mean Malaga. I mean, you look at them, and I'm obviously I know we're just going away from Spurs a little bit, but it's like they're going to be, they're basically. I actually want Malaga to win this now. Honestly, I really do because they've been banned from the Europe competition next year. Just to really piss off UEFA, I would love it if they had to be let back in. The team that was banned had to be let back in. So UEFA are made to look even bigger asses than they already are. Because I just think...
I'll be honest, I wouldn't necessarily say I feel that strongly about the situation. I echo your sentiment, and sometimes, certain things are a bit ridiculous that happen in football, but you talk about you don't watch the Spanish league, but you could argue that there's a monopoly in this country, other than, outside of Manchester. Who else is in with a shout? You've got two teams running away with it. It's the same thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it is. I think it really is a problem. And I know there's been, there's been an agreement to try and curb spending, Now, for me, that personally, I'm surprised they've had that agreement, because for that, they've actually declared that agreement, okay? How that doesn't violate some EU law, because that sounds like some kind of antitrust thing, You basically agree to limit the amount players can earn. And because the way I look at it, the money should go to the players. The reason that, the money, there's so much money in this game. I don't care whether Levy owns us or Abramovich owns Chelsea or whoever owns whoever. I'm there to watch the players. I think the players should earn the lion's share of any money that's going in, and it should filter down equitably throughout the, throughout the league and throughout the divisions. But I remember, although you talk about Chelsea, was it Chelsea about many years ago? I was saying, although I was a bit annoyed with Chelsea buying all the players, at least they broke up that duopoly of, say, Man United and Arsenal, because for years it was just, I think until Abramovich bought them, it was Man U or Arsenal, Man U or Arsenal, Man U or Arsenal, and I don't know. I'd like to think that there are teams that can make it work. They don't have all the money, but they can make it work. I mean, if you look at Dortmund, they finished top of. I mean, I know Dortmund. They had made some big signings. I mean, big as in, they're not the multi-billion pounds that say that Man City did, but they had made 15 million here, 18 million here. But they've got a system of producing talent, And I think there is, and I think for me, Dortmund, they're my dark horses to win this. I would like Malaga to win this just because I just think it would piss off UEFA, because UEFA have such a double standard. There's no way that they'd hold Barcelona or Real Madrid or PSG, even Man City and Man United, to account for their financial affairs. But Malaga, they're a relatively small side, and yet they seem to be tough, But for me, it's just I see what you're saying in terms of the fact that there is the lack of competition. But I think if you look at Dortmund, Bayern Munich, they're a wealthy club, but they're not as wealthy as, say, your PSGs, etc. They're showing that you don't need to splash the cash. What do you think?
I agree, but it's one of those things where I think it is not just in football, but it is the way the world works. The biggest companies, see you have monopolies, commission, for business, but the biggest companies get richer, the poorer companies get poorer.
Yeah.
I think, yes, there could be more regulations and kind of sharing their cash around equally. But I think you said some comment about, making sure the players get the lion's share of the money. I think, at least for the top couple of tiers of football, we don't need to worry about their bank balances. They seem to be doing okay. But I take your points. It should be fairer, and yeah, it is always nice to see an underdog win. And usually I root for one. You mentioned when Chelsea did have Abramovich, yes, it would have been lovely if it had been another team other than Chelsea. However, I completely agree. I was so bored of it being Man United and obviously way worse than that, Arsenal. So to actually have someone else and almost knock Arsenal down a peg or two, or at least give them a bit of a run for their money, fantastic, but unfortunately that success for them seems to have continued.
Yes, unfortunately. And here's the thing, though. I mean, if you look at, say, what Arsenal have done, I mean, they've got this incredible stadium, you know, that, I don't know, 65,000 or something. And whatever, maybe Spenger's reluctant to spend the cash, but or maybe they can't. But it's interesting that we have this thing at Spurs. I think, well, you know what? When we get the Northumberland Development, what is it? The NDP, Northumberland Development Project. Is that Northumberland Park Development Project? Is that the full title or something? A lot of Spurs fans seem to think, well, do you know what? We get that. We can start competing with, you know, your Man United and Man City. Just, you know, we can start competing on the wage front. I'm like, no, Man United have got a merchandising machine that I mean, their merchandising machine is just ridiculous, you know.
And Man City have an incredibly rich man. I don't think I've heard any Spurs fans that would ever actually think once, you know, if and when, you know, the new stadium is built and money ploughed in, yes, you'll have bigger gates and more revenues. However, I don't know any Spurs fan genuinely that would think that would automatically, or even within, you know, say 5 seasons, put us on a level playing field with the likes of Man United and Man City. I think those two are pretty much untouchable as it stands, unless Roman Abramovich decides to, you know, start playing around with his football toy thing again.
I mean, one of the things, and obviously there was always those rumours that, obviously there have been many rumours going around for Spurs for years, like Abramovich was linked to Spurs first, but chose not to invest in us.
He flew over apparently.
Yeah, and apparently, obviously, Levy's just basically looking to sell us to, you know, stadium, Champions League, sell us on for a massive profit, to stay on as chairman, very much like a Ken Bates kind of thing, you know, make us a very big team, but stay on as chairman, stay on the running of the club, you know. Well, obviously, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors, but I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think for me, will we be able to compete? No, I think we'll be able to compete with Arsenal better in terms of, you know, offering better wages. But I think, as you say, the Chelsea, the Man United, you know, the Man Cities, they're always going to be able to just outspend us, you know, until they're held to account.
Brilliantly over recent years, you know, under Levy, I think he's often, you know, much discredited for what I think he's actually done. You know, we're financially stable, we've never had to worry, and we've still flashed cash, you know, over the years, you know, sometimes on horrendous mistakes like, you know, David Bentley, 50 million, whatever it was, but Darren Bent, however much he spent on him, 16.5, I can't remember. But you take the point, we haven't been paupers. I think what has stopped us, some of the players, is not necessarily the transfer fee, but perhaps our wage structure.
Yeah.
Having a seat on it, you know, those other clubs, I'm not even talking the top earners, but they were paying them 100 grand, 120 grand a week. And, you know, we were capped up with, you know, 70 maximum for Ledley and, you know, the other top players.
Yeah.
So I think we'll be the tier underneath. I think, you know, we're financially settled, and once we have the stadium, we'll be in a better position. It doesn't mean we're going to catch up with the top two, but right, we'll be there or thereabouts with the likes of Arsenal and those clubs.
Definitely. And the thing is, I think whenever you buy players, I mean, whenever they come purely for the money, as we saw with Robinho, you know, he had a couple of good games, but he never really was able to. I mean, I saw him play for Brazil. I thought he was a brilliant player. I still think he's a brilliant player. But when some players just purely come for the money, and it's kind of plainly obvious, and say like Robinho, yeah, I don't think I'd want those kind of players at Spurs. You know, there's something I quite like about Spurs is that, and one of the guys I met, they're actually from Oldham, and they became Spurs fans. The long story how they became Spurs fans, but I like to think that people. I don't think players play for Spurs purely because it's Spurs or because of the money. I like to think it's a combination of the two. You know. And
I agree with you, and I think the type of weight we're talking about here, you know, lots of players, it's going to make too much difference if you get 120 grand or 100 grand. It does make it, so it's not all about the money. Sometimes, yes, they could be completely mercenary, hold out for more, but I think it's more the fact that, you know, we're offering some 70 grand, and other teams offering them 120, so I'm not talking 200 grand a week type players.
Yeah.
You know, that is a significant difference.
Oh, yeah.
And it needs to offer the we can offer aren't going to be not even mildly competitive, so it kind of outweighs us. But overall, I agree. I think there's a combination of the two with us. We're not paupers, but we're not at the top of the just yet.
But one of the things that's interesting is we're talking about wage structures. I mean, obviously Harry came out in the press talking about some of the players. I mean, at QPR. I mean, apparently Beswinger's on 65 grand a week or something, and so that would put him at. I don't know what our wage structure. I think obviously for Bale we've obviously increased our wage structure, but basically Boswinger, who's I don't know if he joined this season or last season at QPR, but basically their wage structure essentially is almost some of their top players is nearer to what our wage structure was for our top players, less than a year ago. And I think there is a lot of people tend to throw money at a problem, and I think I got to credit Levy. There has been times where you question some of the outlays he's made, but one of the things he hasn't done, he hasn't thrown money at problems with wages, because with transfer fees you can write that off, over time. But wages on your balance sheet, you've got like a commitment to pay 65 grand a week for 4 years for some player that could be absolutely terrible. And look at what happened to West Ham. I think they're 100 million pounds in debt or something, or some ridiculous amount, because the previous regime had loaded them with. Well, I think they had previous debt anyway before the Icelandic guys bought them, but then they added to the existing amount of debt anyway when giving people like Lucas Neal and Kieran Dyer, Freddie Ljungberg some. Obviously, they're not saying no to it. Someone's offering this kind of money. They're not saying no to it, but
I think QPR have incredibly wealthy owners themselves now. So again, they're not throwing crazy money for your top players. They're going for average players, and yes, they're overpaying them. But clubs like West Ham, that was just stupid kind of business sense, no business sense whatsoever. And I agree, throwing money at a problem doesn't always solve it, but often it can help if you can attract better players because you're more financially sound than another club. Then great. But Man City had a similar before they had their current owners, when they had the Prime Minister.
Oh yeah, yes.
They had all these players that they were just offloading, that were on stupid wages every single week, and they were paying half wage when they were actually out of the club. It was ridiculous.
I think if you look at some of the investment decisions, I think they bought that player Joe for 18 million or something, and he wasn't working out. Went to Everton. We've had to make some expensive layoffs in terms of outlays, in terms of Bentley's one of them, Rebroff from years back, but we really not been able to afford that. And the reason I'm talking about that is to bring the January transfer window. Obviously, we've been linked with the usual suspects: Moutinho, Willian, Ericsson, Isco. And this is my feeling on the matter. I think ABB would really want Moutinho because that's his man. I think he's spoken about this before, but that's his man. He's his man in his dressing room. He's someone who say, look, I had a good player in Moutinho. I helped elevate him, and he's an example of it.
I couldn't agree more, and that's exactly my kind of thoughts on it as well. I was very disappointed when we didn't get Moutinho in the last transfer window, because exactly that. He knows TB system. He's played for him. They know each other. He could be that guy that basically translates what the manager did before also over to the White Hart Lane dressing room. It's a bit like when Mourinho went to Chelsea and he took what's his name?
Thiago and the guy Real Madrid now. I forgot his name now. Not Ferreira. Not Ferreira, but the other guy as well. The centre half, Carvalho.
Yeah, Carvalho. It's a similar type of thing. So, I would love to pick him in the January transfer window. I know on Spurs Forum you could have one player, that really might transform the team over the period. Who would your choice be? It was just one player. Coutinho, are you saying?
I would. Here's my thing. I'm looking at it from I'm trying to be realistic. And I said be realistic with this. And that's what the message said. And I